Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That is Jack. I'm Conrad, and this is the 45. Jack back in the house, back in the studio for our week 4. What happened?
Yeah, a lot did happen actually. It was a pretty crazy weekend.
Every weekend seems like it's defying odds right now.
Exactly.
Or not defying odds, but it's surprising.
100%.
2-1 again. Jack moving above 500, 5-4 on the year, 6-3 so far. That's my third consecutive, I think, 2-1 against the games that we're picking. First match up, today's match, Derby and Emirates between Arsenal and Spurs, ended honors even.
Very good representation of how a lot of people are probably feeling is
hospital bed. I'm good.
Yep, we're all good now. Minor heart attack, but we're okay. It was back and forth. It was definitely a tale of two halves for both sides. In the first one, it was all Spurs. In the second one, it was all Arsenal, and that is reflected a lot in the scoreline.
And no midfield play meaningfully to speak of. Guendouzi was a lone bright spot, I think, for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Xhaka doing Xhaka things.
Exactly.
But again, I think these guys were the difference for early going for Spurs. You know, Eriksen looks like he's going to stay at least till January, but
he had the first goal, obviously, just good follow-through play and just clean it up. I mean, and someone always looks electric whenever he
picked up the penalty, the stupid foul by Xhaka, which is just
running into his legs, basically, because he went for the slide tackle, and it was another brainless moment from the captain for Arsenal.
Don't understand. Harry Kane, great record in these derbies. 10 appearances, 10 goals, 5 penalties. It's the only team he's got more goals against is Leicester. Again, clinical from the spot because of
Xhaka.
I mean, I don't know how he keeps starting him. He's his captain. He wore the armband today.
It's crazy to think about that. Guendouzi is developing. He's 20. I think that as an Arsenal, if you're an Arsenal fan, you would have to really, you got to be going through a lot of pain whenever you see Ceballos, especially because only having for this year and how good he looked. And he's immediately when he stepped on the pitch with that just fizzing long range shot.
But you bring him on for Xhaka, not Torreira.
Exactly. Yeah, and frustration, I can imagine, is how you probably felt. The leadership is probably what you want on the field, but he's committed 18.4% of Arsenal's fouls in the Premier League this season.
Today he did that. Or in the North London Derby.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the bright spot for Arsenal on the brighter side of things is Guendouzi looked very good. His assist for Aubameyang was phenomenal.
He was involved in a lot of what Arsenal were trying to do.
Exactly, and in the second half, he really stepped up his play, and as a whole helped Arsenal just
get
grow
back into it.
Exactly, yeah.
Your boy Pochettino and VAR.
This is it's a great new meme. That's the Slavia Prague owners after they realized, we are drawn next to Barcelona, Inter Milan, and Borussia Dortmund. Gonna get some great ticket sales, but a couple 5-0s, 6-2s are on the way. But again, they had the penalty that they got, and they also had the disallowed goal that both went in favor of Spurs. But obviously, the pendulum will probably even out at some point. And we already saw that once happen already this year for Spurs. But I saw another tweet from Men in Blazers where it said that Spurs looked at their best when David Luiz had the ball, because he did not have as disastrous a performance.
You didn't hear his name nearly as much as he did against Liverpool. He made progress,
but it was not an improvement to the point where you could say it was a good performance. No. He definitely was out of position a lot, and as the tweet says, he's a 10-year-old running as center back straight at the guy trying to win the ball, and then he gets beaten, and then you're on the back foot. I mean, I saw it as a stronger performance from Spurs. If they continued their dominance from the first half, I think they would have won that game.
They let off in the second half.
They took their foot off the gas, and which was disappointing for that. I think that the atmosphere at the Emirates really did step up and really did kind of push them over the line.
It's the loudest
to get the exact result that you predicted, which is
I was almost kicking myself because I had this also at one point. I was like, 3-2 to Spurs, but neither of the team could get the equalizer. This ends up, I guess it's a
lot
fair
of results
result.
have been on a knife edge, especially for Spurs. They obviously drew 2-2 with City, and that came down to a huge VAR.
I think I had that one as a draw too. I got that.
Yeah, exactly. That was where it was. For a moment, I was correct, and then you.
That's right. That was the big VAR decision.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Newcastle loss stunned everybody. So coming off not a great 2-week run.
More VAR to come later. Yeah, it's just a teaser.
So here we go. Everton and Wolves at Goodison. One goal greater for Everton in the win here. I got this one dead wrong. I thought Wolves were going to be coming off of that high of the Torino match at home on Thursday in the Europa League.
I thought they were going to be tired. I think that ultimately was.
They looked awful.
Because I think the 3-2 favors them pretty well. Everton dominated at their home ground. Richarlison had a brace. We've mentioned him already earlier on in the season.
He looked good.
He needs to improve a bit, but he looked fantastic. He was attacking.
It's going to give him a lot of confidence.
Exactly.
He probably doesn't want to see this international break. He probably want to keep right on playing.
Exactly. Wolves' record is 0-3-1. Not good at all. Like, just blatantly. 3 points from 4 games is not good. But considering the amount of games that they've had, the fatigue already setting in, they have a bit of a break, and then they're going to have more time at least. It's not going to be so
Yeah, they won't. They don't pick up Europa League until probably October.
Yeah, I think after the international break they might begin a bit earlier for Europa League, but it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle that, the extra games, the extra mileage. Yeah. But Everton, at least, they're beginning to pick up their own bit of
Silva had them ready today. He brought Moise Keane in. He had an assist. Obviously, Iwobi with the beautiful goal. The brace from Richarlison. But Fabian Delph was really the man. He was the metronome in midfield for them today.
Yeah, and he was played at left back at City last year, which is so funny to think about. That Guardiola used him as a Swiss Army knife versus now at Everton he's going to be a key cog in that field. And he dominated in the middle of the
He was fantastic.
I think
really good.
And he was considered man of the match, even over the 2 goals scored by Richarlison. So I think it was a really remarkable performance from him. But, I mean, last time we'll use this graphic, but just highlighting the amount of games. This is in just over a month of time that they've had to go through all of that, and the fact that they were able to stay
They
on
looked
top.
like it. I mean, they made 5 changes coming into the match.
Yeah.
But they were horrible defensively.
Look at this. Good result, great result. Average result, you're away from home. Great result against United. Great result. Good result. Meh result. Bad result. So you look at that on the
their first loss. It's their first loss of the year.
On the scale where you could say how good or bad was it, it was good. I don't think that you can jump and say it was bad already.
6-3-1.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Take it. And then finally, the top 6 battle at Turf Moor between Burnley and Liverpool. Both of us got the result correct. Score lines off.
Both had 3 goals, but we expected a bit more clinical finishing from Burnley.
From Ashley Barnes specifically. But Dyche, in his commentary, did say, he's like, look, I thought we played better than 0. And I don't think they did. This was, if you look at what they did, they had the center back pairing, Liverpool did, and then Fabinho would drop back and play the ball out. That allowed Matip and Van Dijk to cover the forwards, and they just...
Yeah, they stifled a lot of the things. And ultimately, the only storylines for Liverpool were their attack was doing so well that it caused strife between their forwards. I mean, Firmino obviously scored his 50th. He is the 9th player for Liverpool to score 50 goals in the Premier League.
And the only club with that many with 50 other than United.
Exactly. And
it's crazy.
First Brazilian as well. So great stats for him, as well as the fact that Salah had 2 chances in the game where he could have squared it to Firmino and Mane possibly for 2 more goals. But he was, I think selfish is the word to use, but it's not.
All strikers are selfish.
All strikers should be selfish. He's a great goal scorer for a reason, but at the same time, he should recognize that he could have passed to Mane because Mane had some frustrations, but Firmino had to play their front line. You have Salah out wide, Mane out wide, and Firmino in the middle. He was in the middle of a fight right here, trying to make sure.
This face. So, and then Klopp downplayed it.
Yeah.
Salah posted on his own Instagram this video with laughing, crying face.
Yeah. So there's no reason to be concerned for Liverpool at all.
I don't think so.
But I think that one reason not to be concerned is you're top of the table, you're perfect. And
13 wins in a row, new club record.
Exactly, 13 straight wins for them, and 4 wins out of 4, exactly how you would want the season to start. You look at that, only team that's, like, you look at that, 14 goals, 12 goals. Where's the next closest? 7.
It's insane.
It's ridiculous, the tiers and the levels that they're at compared to everyone else.
Well, it's 2 teams, then everybody else. And this top 6, you've got a Palace team, which we'll talk about in a minute, that's sitting there on 7 points.
Probably.
They don't deserve those 7 points, I don't think. They've scored 3, given up 2.
Yeah. It's Leicester there. They got 8 themselves. They're one of the other undefeated teams.
Leicester doesn't surprise me. I'd have them in the top 6.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. I'm maybe surprised to see them sit in 3rd, but it's only 4 matches. It'll even out.
But interesting, United 8th. Spurs 9th, and then if you go to the next slide, you have Chelsea in 11th.
Chelsea, not even in the top 10.
I don't think Chelsea should be. Obviously, you don't want to be in 11th.
They've given up 9 goals.
But You have
Second
to,
only to
they're also missing
Norwich.
Rudiger. They're missing Conte.
Yeah.
They're missing Ruben Loftus-Cheek. They're missing Hudson-Odoi. Those are not
Conte's back out.
Conte's
Came
been back and forth with injuries. He was injured again. Those are 4 key cogs. Those are 4 starters.
Yeah.
That's your best defender, your best midfielder, and then 2 young prospects who can be first-team players. Those aren't guys that you're missing that you can just shrug off. Those are key parts of the team. So although the performances haven't been there, they still have room to have optimism for the season to come. That 11th is not going to be their home.
And they're not 11th. They're also not a team that lost 4-0 to Man United. They're somewhere in between there and probably 6th, 7th.
Exactly.
I don't think they have enough. But looking back here, United sitting at 8th, Spurs sitting at 9th. None of that's not going to. That won't last. Nor will Palace and last in the top 6.
Yeah, I mean, there's reason for that is the biggest controversy.
Other things. This set a new meaning for Cry Aston Villa. What happened? What Kevin Friend did in the dying moments of that game? He stole that point
to explain
straight up.
Yeah, Kevin Friend, referee of that game. Grealish was dribbling forward and got into a challenge. I forget who the defending player was.
But Carrot clipped him the second.
And he slides it out to his right
to
Henry, who scores a goal. However, the referee blew for Grealish, saying he was simulating, even though he passed the ball as he was falling, did not appeal for a penalty, and got straight back up. I don't understand how you can call a player falling over simulation and stop an attack at that position. Because the player is not trying to gain an advantage.
He's not supposed to do that.
He was not supposed to do that, and it was brutally frustrating for Villa, who deserved the point in that game, because it was
They weren't great throughout.
They weren't great.
But they deserve that point on the merits of that play alone, and especially since Kevin Friend got that so wrong.
Yeah.
VAR rules dictate you eat the whistle in that moment. You do nothing. You let let it play out, and then you look at it. There was controversy in the tunnel of did Grealish get booked for dissent? No. It was for simulation.
Yeah, he basically.
But you can't do that in that moment.
Yeah, and watching the clip is the best way to understand exactly how it happened. Ultimately, simulation is the way I see it in my head is if you dribble past a player, you fall down, the ball goes out of play, and you're appealing to the referee. That's simulation. You book a player for that. The ball's out of play, the play's over. Or if they're like laying on the ball, it's a classic Suarez move where if you get fouled, you lay on the ball and put your arm on it, so they have to call something. So there's no counterattack either. That wasn't the case. He passed the ball off as he was falling.
And they scored.
I don't remember falling being a foulable offense.
And it's borderline whether Carrick actually fouled him and he should have had a spot kick.
It was debatable whether or not it was simulation, let alone the intention to simulate, let alone the reason to blow the whistle. It was woeful refereeing from Kevin Friend.
Awful.
You cannot...
I don't know what they're going to do. If they're going to reprimand him, fine him. I don't know what they can do.
Watch how that plays out, because VAR is the hottest and most temper flaring of all the editions.
But it wasn't allowed to do its job because he blew the whistle.
And overall, it's going to be interesting to see how they do in general on that, to see how they react.
So maddening. Then we're going to talk quick here about Man United. This team, we talked about this kind of at the tail end of the Sunday matches. And this tweet from Red Devil Times summed up our conversation. This team doesn't look like they have a plan.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like they have any kind of tactical approach to these matches. Daniel James is a bright spot. The controversy with the penalty kick, penalty taking.
I think that the big thing for them is their fans have been clamoring to get rid of the deadwood. Chris Smalling, Alexis Sanchez, Romelu Lukaku, Marcus Rojo, Phil Jones, all those guys who were part of the old legion of United who are now past it and they want to go into a new, fresh side. Daniel James is probably the biggest face of the fresh United side. However, you can't just offload all your talent, even if they're not your standard that you believe in, without replacing them. So getting rid of Sanchez and Lukaku, who I would toss them up as 2 of your best 5 forwards easily, possibly 2 of your best 3.
Sanchez at least fits the system. Lukaku doesn't fit the system.
Getting rid of them
Solskjaer wants to play
does not make any sense. You didn't fix it. They don't really have a concrete plan, and it's just frustrating.
Kind of growing into his role in the midfield.
I think that it's going to be. They're in a time of change, but they're not making as many moves as they should be making.
Ashley Young.
They should have signed Bruno Fernandes. They should have signed Milinkovic-Savic. Should have signed possibly more other cover. And going further on the no quality, no tactics is Wan-Bissaka made 10 tackles in that game against Southampton. So you look at that and you say, wow, 10 tackles, that's remarkable.
That's a stupid number.
That's a remarkable amount of tackles to make. He's a very good tackler, probably one of the best in the world. But then it makes you think, why is he tackling so many times? And Paolo Maldini, arguably the greatest center back of all time, said if you have to make a tackle, you've already made a mistake. I'm not blaming Wan-Bissaka. I'm blaming the system that forces him to have to always
for somebody else.
cover for someone else or make these last-ditch tackles out of play. They overall don't have a concrete structure, and it shows in their quality of play, and their fans are already getting frustrated. But fortunately enough for United, in my opinion, that anger is not directed towards Solskjaer. Although he cannot be free of all criticism, you got to blame the Glazers, you got to blame Ed Woodward, who are not properly investing in the squad in the right places. That's where the things ultimately, and that's where the blame ultimately lies.
But Solskjaer, I can't figure out if he's just waiting for the team to gel and figure out what they are, or if he's waiting for somebody to step up and kind of grasp the real leadership of this team. Because Ashley Young is their captain, and he's not going to be in the side half the time. Right. De Gea they want to play out in the back, but then De Gea is still playing a long ball forward. Right.
There are so many storylines to watch this year to see how things go out. VAR, United, the top two. It's going to be a great season, and I think that it's the future of a lot of clubs are going to be dependent on the way the next 10-ish months go. Teams will go up, teams will go down, and it's really interesting to see how it goes.
All righty, for Jack, this is Conrad. This has been the 45. We appreciate it. Give us a like. Please subscribe. Always comment. We appreciate it. Take care now.